It's really important to get away from people pleasing. I think more so for people who are naturally inclined to be kind. So people that usually go out their way to support others, usually at their own expense. It's a lesson to learn. You know, some people are naturally selfish by nature, so it just comes natural to them. But usually, those are the ones that expect everything of everyone else. But usually, the kind people don't get much support in general. But everyone expects from them. Now, all right, slowly but surely over the years, I've been like pulling my energy in more. I've been investing in myself. So, that's taken time. That's definitely taken time. It wasn't comfortable initially, for sure, because I've always been someone who's selfless. I've always helped everybody, like especially my family. And I've always put my life on hold at times just to support other people and be there. And even if it's just like it's something in the day, something where someone just needs you to even just to take them somewhere because I drive, and some members of the family don't drive, but that just becomes a burden. It's like, wait a minute. I'm the youngest in the family in terms of like between my siblings, so that makes no sense. Learn to drive. You're old enough to drive yourself places. So at the end of the day, my freedom shouldn't be suppressed because someone else has an expectation of me. Just because they've decided at some point in their life that they just don't want to do something or they can't be bothered, whatever it is, we have to take accountability. And I always talk about accountability. At the end of the day, our life is a reflection of what we've been doing, who we are. So if you've decided to be lazy in one area or you just think you're going to rely on someone else all the time, that's going to bite you in the arse. So I'm more than a vehicle. I'm more than a car. It's like you have to get yourself places. Like I say, even beyond that, there's been so many things in my life where I've just started to pull my energy back. And what that's really important because then you can discern who supports you for starters. Because you start whittling things down. You realize that a lot of people just take you for granted. And initially you might just start thinking everyone, but I think when you give everybody the benefit of the doubt, you can discern who's really supported you because then you can reciprocate, who just drains you and who just takes you for granted, or who has expectations of you, who has an opinion of you that really doesn't even matter, but they focus so much on your life rather than build their own life up. And it's easy then to sort of like start criticizing. So some people inevitably, without seeing the bigger picture, will paint a picture of you. They'll sort of have their little gossip parties, even though it's irrelevant. It's just because they're not doing anything with their life. So you're the center of their attention. You're the focal point of a story. And it's like, you do what you want. You do what you want. It's like, it's like I say, I've been pulling my energy back and it's quite frightening. It's really, really frightening how few are genuinely there to be positive in your life, I was raised to have put family first. That was like the thing that we was all ingrained with. Put family first. We're all like, and you do, and you think that's the most important thing in the world. And I think it is when it's reciprocated. But that doesn't mean sort of you lose hope in it. It just means build your own family if it's not there for you, Don't sort of worry too much. So I spent a long time with like rose-tinted glasses, really, just thinking everything's all, you're just looking past the issues. And then when I started looking over people, I'm started watching, I'm going, wait a minute, that's not beneficial to me. That's not beneficial. That's not. And it's eventually, it's like, I'm now going to invest in me. And it's like, who bothers reaching out? I mean, obviously, that's reciprocal, though. So, like, you can't go through life just because I know some people do this, where it's like, I haven't called. No, like, you might say, instead of calling people, I'm going to see if they call me. Well, that goes both ways. So someone might, for instance, not call someone for ages and then just say, look, I haven't called people for ages and no one's even bothered. So it shows how much they care. But the same could be said the other way, couldn't it? Like, that shows you're not caring about them too. So I think you've got to be careful with that. But it's still have an awareness of it and sort of like monitor things in your life. But ultimately, it comes down to as well, like, do you really, if they weren't your family members, that's how you really have to. Like, I'm talking family in general, but there could be other people in your life. But family member give like prominence from birth, if you like. It's like it's ingrained in us. So like for many of us. But when you break it down, you start looking at individuals as just people, and you take away the connection through family. Is that someone you would be friends with? Is it someone you feel like there's a connection with? Is it someone who has, you've got similar mindsets, similar morals? And again, I think it's quite frightening when you reflect and you go, no, they're not. So, in all honesty, I've pushed away from pretty much everyone in my life, and I don't even feel bad about it. But again, that's took time. Believe me, that's not overnight. That's assessing things one layer at a time, to the point where now I just don't have a lot of respect for the majority of people that were in my life. So again, there was another video I was going to do, but might as well like intertwine it. I think the sad part for many of us, and I think many people, there's a lack of light in our life. If you think about like positive role models, someone that's really kind, someone that's selfless, someone that gives you hope. Because I was thinking about this recently. I was like, there's not much in my life to give me hope. Because like I said, I've shed the layers down. I've whittled people down. I'm like, this isn't good for me. These are not beneficial. They're a drain. You know, people surface when they think they can gain, but when you're struggling, they're not there. They don't check. It's like these things. It's fine, but just don't come asking me for anything later, you know? But that's quite demoralizing if that's all you see in your life, because then like you're your only light source. And I think that's quite sad, because you could naturally go through life then feeling like there's no one kind. You can't trust anyone. But sometimes you have just one very special person who you have fond memories of, or they're just still in your life, and it's just they are a light source. They're a guiding light. Like, I'm very fortunate that is my mum. So that's a parental figure. That's an incredible role model. And it's someone who I see, they'll put themselves at a disadvantage to always be there to support you, you know? And I think that selflessness, the kindness, the compassion, the genuine love, it's rare, but you treasure it, you know? You know it's precious. And I'm very fortunate that I literally witnessed that. So I have like a light source that I can just reflect upon. And the thing about that is, it gives you hope. It makes you feel at least you have something in the world. But with that light dims and they're not here anymore, because that would inevitably happen, of course. It's not let that make your heart turn to stone. It's just use it as a source to say, look, this exists somewhere else in the world, you know? And it's like, there's hope. But like I say, because there's people in our life that take advantage, or they're not really the same, they don't really have the same morals. What that light source does, it actually amplifies the issues with other people, because you can't help but compare. So this person's selfish, this person expects all the time, this person gossips, they don't support, they're a drain, they're quite toxic in all honesty, you know, hot and cold all the time, you know, only pull you in when they need something or they're having an issue with someone else, all these things. But then you've got this beautiful example who's always there all the time, and people take advantage of them. That's what you see as well. And it's like, they don't deserve that. They deserve to be like appreciated and admired. And yet some people have the audacity to look down at them and have a negative opinion of them. And it's like, you are up your own arse. That's really the problem. So there are family members who like, they have an issue with my mum, and it's like, it's crazy, because I'm like, I even have to say to my mum, I wouldn't even worry about it. These people are idiots. You know, it's like, you can't, they think too much of themselves. They all bicker between themselves. They shout all the time. They're always arguing. They always have an issue. And as soon as they have an argument amongst themselves that's too big, they'll come talking, trying to act like everything's normal and talk to you again. They're just not even worth your time. You know, sometimes you just got to look at the people and don't put too much weight on it. You know, so that's what I do. That's what I say to my mum. Like, I've taught her to discern a bit here. It's not like manipulate, because I'm not into that. It's just about opening people's eyes. It's not for me to say. Like, I'll say what I think of the people, but I say that doesn't mean you have to see them that way. But it's like, just look at each person on an individual basis. Watch how they treat you, how they behave, and what they're doing with their life, and you'll have then a fair, balanced opinion of people. Because you've got the rose-tinted glasses to say that's your child, or that's your grandchild, or that's your, you know, and it's, or your all these different things. And it's just, they're people, though. And unfortunately, majority of them are actually flawed and not very kind. So, I know I've gone quite tangenty there, but I'm trying not to be specific, and it's making it hard to not do that. But like I say, like, when you've got a role model that's incredibly inspiring, like really, really in your life, it's just really nice to have that, you know? So my mum, she's not the most articulate or intelligent, so it's quite funny to watch her, like, the things, you know, but she has the best heart, and it's nice. So problem is that can let you get taken for granted, not in relationship or anything like that, but more like family members. And that's where I'm just like strengthening my mum to show her, and it makes her wiser, and it's just
then it's decide for yourself. But the reality is, they will all regret it one day, because of course time's running out. But also, if I ever get success where money's not an issue anymore, and like literally, and I get to live a different lifestyle and a different life, like into one that's actually elevated, I hope she's still here to enjoy it, because she's definitely coming on that journey with me. So she might not always be locally for everybody else, because I'm the one that lives the furthest away from everyone. So I like that though. Like I love spending time with my mum. But if anyone else turns up in there randomly, it's like I don't want to be around anybody else anymore, because I don't respect them, and I'm not someone that hides from things. But it's not worth the conflict for her sake. And to be honest, I've got nothing to say to anyone anymore. It's like I don't care. Before, there were periods where you want to say your thing, you think people need to hear it. Then you get beyond that, like you elevate and elevate and elevate to the point where you can't even be bothered anymore. It makes no difference. It's like what I've got to say to them. I'm not there to hurt their feelings. I just get on with your life and I'll get on with mine. They're still low vibrational. So, of course, they'd still want the interaction, even though they act like they don't care. But really, they want to see how you react. And they want some sort of like, they want to feel significant in their life. They want you to see them. And it's like, we don't need to see each other, though. So, it's moved way beyond that now. But anyway, that's one side of it before we digress. The other side is, like I said, people expect from you, and I've had it my whole life, especially with my car. And I know on the outside, it can look really selfish on my part, but it's not. It's been happening for so long. I'm going to show a map, because I think it's going to be the best way I can possibly explain this situation. And again, I know how it's going to look. And I know, look, I can go out of my way, but I've gone out of my way for years. Like, I've always gone the extra mile, and it's just reached a point now where something's just clicked in me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to keep suffering at other people's expense. I value my time. I value my energy. I don't see why I should be tired all the time. I don't see why I should be the one late for everything, It's just, no, not anymore. So recently I traveled with my daughter, took her back to my hometown. It's 100 miles away, it's 2 hours. So of course, when you do that, I've then got to return home. So it's 200 miles all in. So if it's 2 hours, there's 4 hours round trip doing all that. But I had to have something done with my tooth, because I had a crown, it come off. It was like, it's almost not salvageable. That's the problem. But they were trying their best. So because I dropped her off there, I thought we'd get a dentist done at the same time. So they've done a casting for a new crown. And then the next appointment was 3 weeks' time, and I was like, oh god damn! So I've got to drive home after or dropping her off, and then I've got to come all the way back again. So 200-mile round trip, just because it's an NHS dentist. So in the UK, you can get NHS, which can be free or very cheap, or you can go private, and it's ridiculously expensive. So where I live is private, but where my hometown is, they had like openings for NHS, which I've got in, and I've been with them now for a year or so, a couple of years now. So my root canal and my crown's all free, whereas it would cost about £1,500 private. So me paying the fuel per petrol, for instance, to get from my place to there is like £50. Well, it's a lot cheaper than 1,500, or even though it's a pain in the arse and it doesn't make sense. Anyway, so we've done that. 3 weeks later, I had to go back, which was yesterday. I had to travel yesterday, and I really didn't want to do the trip, and I'm getting tired of doing it. To be totally honest, it's a long travel. 100 miles here, 100 miles there. It's like, I don't want to keep doing that trip, man. It's driving me nuts. So the idea of adding any more time to it is a pain. But it so happens to be, which timing-wise is crazy, my brother had been staying for about a week or so down there now. And he lives about an hour away from me. So he's not local to that area, but he's not exactly next door to me. But he's an hour away. And it just so happens to be they're going back on the same day. But I only come down for the day to go back again. And I did say to my mum, I'm not even offering to take him home. Like, I'm not doing it anymore. It's just ridiculous. Because from their point of view, they get to be dropped off right outside their house. My 2-hour trip becomes a 3-hour trip. And I know when you say it in numbers, it doesn't sound a lot, but it's half the trip on top. So, like, I'm in Peterborough, so I'm going to show it on the map. It would be easier to show. Let me just pause it. Right, so this is the map. I've got it all here, to be totally honest. So my daughter lives up north. I'm not going to say the area she lives, but she lives up north. Round, I don't know, my mouse ain't coming up. That's really strange. Let me just see if there's a reason. Okay, so I've managed to do it now. We can get the mouse up. It's not that obvious, I don't think. But anyway, so this is England. We've got the UK. You've got the whole British Isles. We zoom in enough. I used to come from Southend-on-Sea. So it's near London, southeast. That's home. That's hometown anyway. Then I moved up north to Peterborough. Well, North Midlands, really. But obviously England goes all the way up, this high up. So now all of a sudden living here isn't north, you know. So it's in the middle, really. But you can get everywhere. But infrastructure-wise, because of the main roads and things, it's easy for me to get up and down. If you have to start going in roads to start going into the countryside, because the roads are slower, they're a bit more windy, it adds a lot of time. So to go across and then back on yourself is a freaking nightmare. Now, I just want to put it into context. If I was going on a holiday, for instance, and I was traveling, I've got no problem going distance. So even if it was double the journey and it was like, I'm doing 100 miles, let's say I was doing 200 miles or whatever it is, let's say a 2-hour trip's a 4-hour trip. That's fine if that was the plan. And I'm actually going somewhere I want to go to. And I plan breaks because I'm not going to drive for 4 hours. The 2-hour trip we'll stop at 2 hours, have a break, get a coffee, get something to eat, whatnot, and that's fine. So it's not saying I'm not interested in ever doing longer trips, but when I'm just going home or I'm just going to somewhere for a reason, it's like, and it's just there. I don't see the point to keep making my trip harder. It's not fair. Like, I'm fed up with it because my 2-hour trip becomes their 2-hour trip and then my trip becomes 3 hours. So why should I always do the extra hour? Like, from their point of view, it makes sense, but it's like, that's because it's easy for you. That's where I'm getting a bit fed up. People are not appreciating and never have the extra time it adds to me and the pain it is, even if they help with the fuel like a little bit, it's like, that only covers the fuel. It's not covering my time, mate. It's still like I'm tired and it's not always I'm going in the morning. I might be getting back later and stuff, It's just not happening anymore, especially when I've had time with my daughter or something, or if I'm traveling with her. I've done it with her before and she was not happy. Because she's traveling all the way up north. So if we just put it here, look. See, I'm in here. So we've got to go all the way down here. I'm here. And she travels from all the way up here to the top. Okay, so she's all the way up here. And then she gets a train with her mum all the way down to Southend. So she has to go through London and into Southend on a train, which I don't understand because it's easy just to come straight to me. But it's because, look, to explain it would be long-winded, but just to make it easy, is because their parents, like my ex's parents and my mum, live in Southend. So they're not doing it for any of us. They're doing it because my ex wants to spend time at her parents' house. So my daughter has to travel on a train all the way up north, through all of this, through London, to get to Southend. And it's irrelevant, really, where I live or what she's got to do. And it's not fair. So she's doing all that on a train. I think they're on a train for like 4 hours or so. It's crazy. So they'll do the train, and then I'll travel all the way down from where I am, and I'll come down to Southend to pick her up. So so she's already done her trip. She's done 4 hours. I'm doing 2 hours, and then I'll pick her up. We'll either stay at my mum's overnight, or depending if they get there in the morning, sometimes I'll go straight home because my daughter just wants to spend time with me at my house, because we don't get long. So we'll pick her up. I'll pick her up, and it'll either be the same day or the next day, roughly. And we get in the car and we'll travel all the way around the outside of London. We go straight up and we get home to mine. And it takes 2 hours to do all that, to do my trip. And like, for instance, if my brother decides, you know what, I'm coming, you can pick me up on the way. Or if I'm coming, or I'm down there, I can come back with you. But that's beautiful for you because we'll come up and we'll start traveling north. And normally it's just straight up. Look, you see, it's so easy. It's just the main roads. I can, even if there's something wrong with that road, I can take that road. But it doesn't add much to my time. When you start going sideways here into the countryside more, into the little bits round here and little bits round here, and anything that's off the main road, it does add a lot of time. So I'm not going to say exactly where he lives for his own privacy and things, but let's just say it's round this side here. I'm here, and they're all the way over here somewhere. I know it doesn't look a lot, and I know it doesn't, but believe me, for me going from where I am, it takes me just to get around this sort of area here, it'll take about 50 minutes to an hour. On a good run, maybe 45 minutes, but there's usually a traffic jam, accident, something's going on, but it's about an hour. So as for me to even go and see them, it's an hour to them and an hour back. So that's 2 hours. That's the same. For me to go and visit them, it's the same as me doing one trip all the way to my mum in Southend. That's crazy, isn't it? Like when you think of the journey, it's for them, to me to go and see them and come straight home after is the same as one trip to the South End. So when they want help or they say, "Could you take me? You can do that. You can take me home." It's like, it's beautiful for you because like, I'll go here and then we'll go there and then we'll turn off, take them home or wherever, and then I'll have to go home after. So all the way out there, all the way in. So the way I've calculated it is, which is quite crazy, by the added time for me, by the time I get to their house, right, or their home, if I didn't go to them, I would be all the way near where, wait a minute, this is from the M11, round here. And round here is Stansted Airport. So by the time I get to their house, I could be at Stansted Airport. It makes no sense to me to do it. It doesn't make any sense because the road's so fast because it's a main road. So by the time you get round here, so I'm here, by the time you get round here, I could be about here. Here, about here. And it's like, I'm not got far left. I've only got half the trip left to get to where I'm going. But you're asking me to pick you up there, and then we've still got 2 hours left to go. It's like, this is driving me mad. Why should I always have to go extra? So like I said, by the time I get home, it's like this is what it's like. It's like 2 hours to get home. By the time I get home, like they would be home. So I could take them, but then I've still got my extra hour to do after. I don't want to drive for 3 hours. I've just done 2 hours. They've got a train station and things nearby anyway. So they've been getting by fine doing their trains. You know, they just get a train from where they are straight down to London, and then from London back into Southend. So it goes, it's connected. But it's idea for them to be, it's easier just to get in my car, isn't it? And then me do all the travel, and they can just sit and do what they want. They don't have to change trains. And I get it. It's probably a bit awkward, but they're old enough to be driving themselves. When I say they, it's my brother and my nephew. But it's not me complaining about them personally because they're doing a trip on that. It's just the expectation. Because when I drop my daughter off, for instance, this is where part of it comes when got me thinking a bit more. When I drop my daughter off in the summer holidays, so, you know, we've done our 2 hour trip. She's going back either later that night or the next night, and she's got to go. She's going to be going on a train for 4 hours, you know. My brother said to me, "Oh, you could have brought, like my nephew, you could have picked him up and brought him down instead of him getting the train when he came down by train because apparently he was coming down at a similar time." And I didn't know because they don't communicate. They expect me to communicate everything. Why am I relaying shit? You know, my plans are my plans. Why am I telling you what my freaking calendar is? But the point was, I said I never said I was going to take him. Not being funny. Our time is precious. My daughter doesn't even like leaving. Like she wants to stay. She doesn't even like leaving. If I say, we're going to go this day back, and yeah, and maybe got a couple more days. She wants to do it as late as possible. Like get there, do it as last minute as possible. Ain't always practical. So the idea that I say to her, and this is where she wouldn't be happy, and she shouldn't have to be. Oh, we're going to leave an hour early because we got to go and pick them up, and it's going to be a 3 hour trip instead of a 2 hour trip. She's going to be pissed. She don't want no 3 hour trip, and she definitely because she does enough travel as it is. She does more than everyone, literally more than everyone, even her mum. Because her mum only travels to Southend and then gets the train back as when she does. But the daughter has to do that extra 100 miles each way in the car for 2 hours each way. So she does 4 hours in the car on top of everyone else. You know, so she suffers, man. But yeah, I'm just sick of it. It's the expectation all the time. And I know, like I said, I can come across as the arsehole, and I get it. Other people to just say, why don't you just help them though? Because you can. It's like, because I've been helping them for years, and they're more than capable of driving themselves if they want to drive. Like, get a license, start driving. What you can do, rely on me for the rest of your life. I'm not always going to be around here, you know. I have bigger dreams, bigger plans. Who knows where it takes me? Not always going to be in the local facility. And that's not even local. It's not like they're on my doorstep. They're quite a way across, you know. It's like, it's crazy. If I'm going that way, fine. But if I'm not going that way, I'm not going to keep doing it. Because like my trip's really easy. Like I know it's a pain. I get fed up with it. But it's just main roads. It's quite easy to get, like for instance, in the Peterborough area, it's really easy to get around because there's a main road that just travels the whole way through the city. So once you hit that road, everything's quick. And then you just connect to the motorways that run around the country. If you can hit, so for where I come out, like it's so easy. You're just straight on this A1 and then straight down the M11, and then turn off at the M25, and then across the South End. It's so simple, you know, and that's why it's fast, because the road's quick. But you start messing around going over here, it's all little windy roads, terrible with your suspension, it bashes your car to pieces, you've got car repairs, and it's like, no, if you want a lift now, this is how I'm changing it, the narrative now. If you're desperate for a lift with me, there's a train nearby for them, train station, they can get a train near me, and then I can either pick them up from my train station if I choose to, depending on what I'm doing, or if I want to, because it's not my convenience anymore, you know, it's not my problem anymore. Other people's lives are theirs. It's up to them to start taking accountability of that. I'm sick and tired of feeling the responsibility of it and the pressure from that, because I always feel bad. And I felt bad believe me, I felt bad about halfway driving home, thinking they could have been in the car with me. I could be doing it. But at the same time, I'm thinking, this isn't my weight to carry, though. Like, why should I keep having this shit, man? It's like, if they're happy to come to my house, they can come that way. And if they want to work their way after that to their house, they can. Or if they want to stay with me for a day or two until I can be bothered to drive all the way to their house and back, that's up to them. But if that's all inconvenient and you really want to just get home that moment and you want to get home, then do your train. But I'm not going to deviate my path all the time. And again, I know what it comes off as, or maybe people do see it the way I see it. And it's, you know, because I never think people do. I always think people see the opposite to what I'm saying. Like, you know, that's nonsense. You could just do that. And I get where they come from, but when you live it and you've lived it long enough, it's tiring and it's really, really annoying, because I don't want my life complicated. You know, I want to feel comfortable being able to do my travel and not feel guilty every time I travel, you know? So if I'm thinking, right, I've got to go Southend, I really don't want to do it. It's 2 hours in the car. I'm not even in the mood to travel 2 hours. I don't even want to do it, but I've got a dentist appointment or my daughter needs me. And it's like, oh. Obviously when I see her, it's like, oh yeah, this is worth it, especially if I'm traveling to her. Traveling away from her doesn't make me feel too good when I've got to go home after, you know, but it's like a whole hassle all the time. And then you think, that's bad enough. That really is bad enough. And it's like, I can't even be bothered sometimes, you know, but I get on with it. But now it's like, someone else needs you. It's like, oh, I can't have the weight of your life on top of this shit, man. I've got my own problems. It's like, this is enough now. This is enough. If you're going to have to start taking accountability. So you either get the train all the way to where you're going, or you get a train closer to me and you save me that trip, because it's not my responsibility anymore. If you live 3 hours away, for instance, like that extra hour, that's not my fault. You're living that far away from me. If you need help, you know, you can't expect to live out away of everybody and then moan after. I'm the one who lives alone. Like, I'm truly alone. You know, I cope a lot. I like my space, man. I can't be asked anyway. So I'm quite, like I said at the beginning there, where I've like distanced myself from family members who I feel like don't do anything for you and think that's nice, because the longer I've been away from everyone, the more I've been detached, and it's like they can't ask anything of me, can they? But the last ones to ask of me is my brother, and I've got sick and tired of it. It's like, no, you're not. It's not my problem anymore. And this is that people pleasing culture, you know. It's like, because it's always been like that. What people may not realize when I say all this is, even when I was in my early 20s and I was driving, he had my son. Oh no, his son. He's had his son, my nephew. He never was really did a lot with him. It was like I was the one taking him to the park. I would take him to the woods. I would take him out for days. You know, we'd do that. And my brother would come sometimes. Sometimes he didn't want to come. All these things. But let's say he had to return him to his ex, so that my nephew would go to his mum. It'd always be someone has to take him all the time. So it's either my stepdad or me. So he'd always say, oh, and my brother always expected it that moment. He didn't tell you in advance. So he never told you his plans. And it'd be like on a Sunday, for instance, when you've just having roast dinner, maybe you've just eaten, and instead of telling you like earlier in the day or anything like that, he'll just say, oh, I need to get, can someone take, he's got to be home at 4. And it's like, maybe it's 3 now. And it's like, you're having a laugh, mate. You keep asking people, like, oh, we're just eating. They don't feel like doing anything. They had no plans. So sometimes I would, and sometimes my stepdad would. But it's like always your responsibility to solve someone else's problems. And it's been like that forever, because I'm the one that drives. So in my family, not partners, you know, like, so for instance, my sister drives and she's in the South End area. Her husband drives. But of course, if we're just talking about siblings, my sister drives and I drive. My other sister doesn't drive. My brother doesn't drive. And then you start trickling down. It's a lot of the one's offspring, you should say, don't. Many of them don't drive either. Only a couple. So the responsibility was always like, so I drive. My sister wouldn't go out of her way to help anyone, but it's that expectation. No one expects her to help, but people expect me to help because I always did. And again, it starts to look like you're the bad egg because you're the one that's changing. It's like, no, I've started to invest in myself now and I take accountability for me. So you take accountability for you. So, it's ridiculous that people think it comes easy for me. I've already mentioned I live alone. The only person in my life I have to lean on is my mum, and she lives miles away. Like, she might help me if I'm really struggling financially and things like that. And she's always there. If I want to pick up the phone, I'll call her. So we talk an awful lot, and it's a shame that she doesn't live near me. But I get to see her in the holidays, and we talk all the time. But everyone else has people around them. My daughter lives miles away. We only see each other in the holidays. It's not fair. Our life is cruel, and yet people expect of me because I'm strong and confident. But find that strength and confidence in yourself, mate, because it's not my problem to carry you on my shoulders for the rest of my life. It's not my burden to carry, is it? And that's what it comes down to. So it's that people pleasing. It's not a case of trying to that's what I'm saying. It's not about, because when we say people pleasing, you normally think people like sucking up to be liked. It's not about that at all. It's that people pleasing where you feel burdened by it, like you feel you have to, because their life make you feel guilty for it, or you feel bad that they're suffering. But eventually, you've got to allow people to sort of figure their own life out. It can't be for you to keep doing it. I don't need my days extended. I don't need my travel a burden. I don't want to. Effectively, it just makes me not want to travel, because if my travel is 3 hours instead of 2 hours, it's like, and it's always like, let's say they was to travel every time I'm traveling. Oh, I can't be bothered to travel now. The 2 hours is bad enough. If I go and do 3 hours, sod this shit. I don't want to do all that. Obviously, I'd never miss my daughter, but the point is, I'm not having that weight on me anymore. And that's just obviously just a rare example there. But my sister doesn't even travel far. She only goes local area, because some people just don't. They drive and they're terrified of driving. They feel confident enough what it is. It's because they're familiar with the area. So where they're familiar, they can drive. Whereas I can just drive anywhere. I've driven abroad on holiday. I can travel around the country. I don't really care. So I'm independent. I just get on with my own stuff. But yeah, like I say, I think some people just go through life just latched onto other people, and then they have a weird thing where they'll say they're lonely and they're struggling and no one checks up on them, and it's like, mate, you've got people around you all the time. What are you talking about? No one knows what it's like to truly be alone apart from me. My mum's alone a bit more now, but she's still got people around her to an extent. I'm the one that doesn't really have many, or if any, really. But I don't. I only have my daughter. That's it in the holidays. Rest of the time, I'm alone. But again, I'm comfortable on my own. I've got things I do. I'm building myself up all the time. I've always got projects on the go. I'm always I'm not going to say distracted. I'm always entertaining myself. I'm good on my own, But yeah, it'd be nice to have a family of my own one day. That'd be really nice. But that's what I'm saying. That's the family I'm investing in. It's like my future. So, my daughter is my world. I invest in my daughter. And if I'm in a relationship, I'll be investing in them. But that's the life I'm building now. It's not a case of feeling weighed down by everybody else, because that's not my trouble anymore. And who's really been there for me when I'm at my lowest? My mum. So even those that expect of me, they don't check up on me if I'm struggling financially for any reason, because I'm alone. It's a hard thing to cope on your own. People that lived alone, they'll know what I'm talking about. It's usually the ones with people. They'll always complain about money and act like you would never understand. Most people would suffer like crazy if they lived alone. It's hard, man. Bills don't get split in half. All your bills are the same as it is for a couple. Your grocery shopping, most things comes in packs of food that you end up throwing, because I can't eat 6 tomatoes, but I have to buy 6 tomatoes because it comes in a packet. Two or three, I'll get thrown in a bin. I buy a loaf of bread. Half of that, maybe 3/4 of that I'll eat, and then there'll be parts that just go mouldy. I have to throw in a bin. You could say get a smaller loaf. They're not even any cheaper. So, it's like, unless you've lived it, you won't really know. Because burger buns. Let's say I fancy a burger. I've got to buy 4 buns. Either I've got to eat a burger every day, or even have a couple on one day, just so they don't go off, or just throw the buns after I've had enough burgers. So, personally, I end up having hot dogs for 2 days in a row, 3 days of burgers, just because. That's literally what it's like, though. It's outrageous. Otherwise, you're just throwing food away. So you're having meal plans that are crap just because you're trying to make the food last. That's a whole other tangent we could go on. So living on your own
it's hard enough as it is, let alone have the weight of everybody else's lives on you. And I've had that forever. And it's only now I'm starting to like really, really nip it in the bud. I've like whittled away a lot, but this expectation of me driving everybody everywhere is coming to an end. And I'm not gonna. And the more I get comfortable with that, the less guilty I'm gonna feel. Because I did it today. Like did it today. Come all the way home. A lot of time, my mum tries making me stay longer. I think she likes my company. To be honest, we don't get time together much. But what happened in the holidays was I had 3 weeks with my daughter. I took her home, so I took her back to Southend. I was supposed to come straight home, but I took her left clothes for a couple of days just in case I stay. I ended up at my mum's for 2 weeks. Car needed repairing and all sorts, and the dentist again, and it just kept extending it. So she likes that. She'll keep me there forever if she can. So when I came back today, so I went there yesterday. I literally drove all the way down there, 2 hours, just to go dentist. And I even said that to dentist when I went in there. I said, because I had to attach a crown. I said, it took me 2 hours to get here. I said, it's crazy, isn't it? Because the dentist near me is too expensive. And they thought that was mad. But that's literally what we've got to do. And then it's like, I'm coming back the next day, because that was all the plan was. Drive down for 2 hours, drive back the next day for 2 hours. I could have just done the whole relay in a day, but I thought, I'll spend some time with my mum. But she was expecting me to stay even longer. And I said, why? She goes, what do you normally do? I said, yeah, because you don't normally let me go. I said, I told you specifically this time I'm definitely going back. And I had to, because I would have been there for 2 weeks again. You know, it happens. You end up going there for a little while. You end up staying longer. But I've got to start putting my foot down there a little bit more. But, you know, the time together is rare, you know. That's quite sad. But no, it's just what it is, isn't it? I think it's interesting how we find ourselves. I think it's easier when you detach physically from people. So like me moving away, it wasn't for that reason, but it got me, it helped an awful lot, detach from people too. And it's now I'm not even interested in spending time or anything with family members, because they've all shown me, you know, even something as simple as my books. If we get my books up, we get rid of this. I've lost it. That one? Yeah. Even something as simple as my books. My family member, my mum has bought every book, and she's always looking forward to the next one. I said to her about the 3 manuscripts, and she goes, "Oh, when that coming out?" I said, "Don't know yet." But she always wants them day one. None of my other family members have shown an interest at all. And you think, okay, so someone's doing something with their life. They're trying to do something, uplift themselves. And it's like the naive thing from their point of view, which is really simple to me. Because let's say they're only financially motivated. If they think they're going to gain something, they'd be more inclined, won't they? But because they don't believe in something, or they don't see it until it happens, they're not interested. So I've got no doubt if success when success comes, I'll have people coming out of the woodwork trying to suck up and all sorts of shit. It's like, mate, do I look stupid? But the reality is, if it hadn't got to this in the first place, and they'd valued me and there'd been respect and all these things, I would have supported them if I'm successful. So if I was getting financially rewarded, I would have helped people in my life, you know. But why would I help people who have not invested in me and I have no respect for anymore? And that's important lessons, isn't it? Because it's not about the money. But I certainly am not going to go around helping people that now I consider strangers. That's literally what it's become now. I'm obviously, well, I wouldn't say obviously, but it's impossible to go a short video that's not supposed to be too in depth. I could go to the whole dynamic of each individual in my family, which I've done enough in other videos. I'm not going to keep going there. But suffice to say that literally now it's just me, my mum, and my daughter in my life. Pretty much. I'll still see my brother sometimes and my nephew, but they're different. They're different, you know. It's sad because me and my nephew like has similar like humor and all those things. We get on great when we're together. But he's still in that phase where it's just like drinking, clubbing, all that crap, you know, all the wrong things if you stood to yourself. You know, they vape, they smoke. It's just all like, for me, it's just toxic. You're just abusing your mind, your body, and everything else. And it's quite sad because you have the potential to do great things. But I'm not making my life stagnant to keep you in it. So it's quite clear you're on a path where you're easily manipulated, you know, and easily influenced. And I'm not someone that is easily anything. So although there's the potential that at some point maybe they grow up to a degree, there's no guarantee of it. And I'm not keeping my life on hold. So I'm leaving people now to just live their own life, pursue their own goals, make things happen, whatever. They're responsible in the same way I am. And that's what I'm talking about, accountability.
So yeah, it's not really it's not for us to people please or feel like we're the savior for other people's lives. I'm the savior for my life. I'm the savior for my life, and I'll lay the groundwork for my daughter to thrive after. You know, and she is. She's learned a lot from from what I say, from the things I do. It's been great to see her growth. She'll grow into an example of herself. You know, but it's just great to see she has her morals intact. She's not easily influenced by other people. Like I say, and it's good for me to get to see the rewards really of the work that I've done towards her, and that's great because it breaks the cycle of our family. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, she is a great example really of evolution, I think.